What up, world? R.I.C.H coming right back at you. And today I want to talk about something that a lot of us don't deal with until life forces us to deal with it. I want to talk about learning how to trust yourself again. Not trusting your ego, not trusting your pride, not trusting that loud part of you that wants to be right all the time. I'm talking about trusting that quiet warning inside of you that knows something is off before you have the words to explain it. A lot of us have been trained to ignore that part of ourselves. We feel the discomfort, but we talk ourselves out of it. We feel our peace leaving, but we stay because the situation makes sense on paper. We feel our body telling us the truth, but we don't want to look scared, so we perform strength. This is where a lot of people get stuck. They're not really at peace. They are just good at functioning while something inside of them is warning them every day. And that warning is not always a weakness. Sometimes that warning is information. Your body can pick up on things your mind is still trying to excuse. You can walk into a job and feel yourself shrink. You can sit with certain people and feel your spirit get heavy. You can be in a relationship that looks fine to everybody else, but your body knows you ain't truly comfortable. That is data. And if you keep ignoring that data, eventually your life starts looking successful to other people while you are disappearing inside of it. That is a dangerous trait. A lot of us learned this early. We grew up in homes, schools, churches, and communities where asking for clarity might get you slapped. You were not always taught to understand what you felt. You were taught to move on, be quiet, and not make people uncomfortable. So now you're an adult, and you can feel something wrong in your spirit. But the old programming tells you to override it. That is not just a bad habit, that's conditioning. And if you don't unlearn it, you will keep choosing things that hurt you because they make you feel comfortable. That is why clarity is so important. Sometimes a child will say they don't feel safe, and the adult's first instinct is to correct them instead of listening to them. But what if the child is not being difficult? What if that child is trying to understand the signal their body is telling them? When you help a child name what they feel, you teach them that their inner warning system is not something to be ashamed of. That matters because a child who is always talked out of their own feelings can become an adult who needs permission to trust themselves. And a lot of us are living like that right now. We know what we feel, but we keep waiting on somebody else to confirm it. We know something ain't right, but we don't want to move until the damage is obvious enough for everybody else to understand. By then, you already paid too much. That's why the question can not only be, does this make sense? Some things make sense and still cost you your peace. The better question is, does this feel safe for the person I am becoming? Safe does not mean easy. Safe does not mean comfortable. Safe means you can be honest without being punished for telling your truth. A lot of people are chasing status while their spirit is begging for alignment. They want the title, the relationship, the look, the applause, but they have to keep leaving who they are in order to maintain it. That is not success. That is a beautiful prison. And some people will stay there for years because the world is clapped. But the world don't have to live inside your body. The world don't have to wake up with your anxiety. The world don't have to carry the version of you that only shows up when everybody else leaves. That is why you have to get honest with yourself. Not dramatic, honest. When your body reacts to a place, pay attention. When you keep losing your voice around certain people, pay attention. When you have to become smaller to keep the peace, that's not real peace. And let me be clear, every feeling is not a command. Sometimes your fear is old pain talking. Sometimes your nervous system is responding to things that happened years ago, not what is happening right now. That is why you don't just react. You listen, you slow down, and you ask what this feeling is trying to tell you. Not being ruled by your body, learning how to read what your body is reporting. A lot of people think healing is just leaving a bad situation. Sometimes healing is realizing why you kept accepting it. That is the work, because if you don't understand what made you override yourself, you will leave one situation and find another one that speaks the same language. Different face, same pattern. That's why this message matters for parents too. Don't raise children who are so obedient that they don't trust themselves. A child should be able to ask for clarity without being made to feel like their question is an attack. Because one day, that child gonna be grown. And if they never learn how to honor their own internal warning system, they may stay in rooms God was trying to pull them out of. Some of us are not stuck because we don't know what to do. We are stuck because we don't trust what we know. We need 10 signs, 5 confirmations, and a whole disaster before we finally admit what our body was telling us in the beginning. But life does not always warn you with a shout. Sometimes the warning is a small loss of peace that keeps coming back until you accept it. So this is my challenge. Start checking in with yourself before life has to check in with you. Ask yourself what you've been ignoring. Ask yourself where you keep performing confidence while your spirit is tired. Ask yourself whether the life you are building actually fits the person you are becoming. And when the answer comes, don't rush past it just because it makes you feel uncomfortable. Truth is not always loud, but it don't go away just because you ignore it. Some of you already know the area of your life that this applies to. You felt it when I started talking. And I'm not telling you to quit your job tomorrow, end your relationship tonight, or make an emotional decision just to prove you trust yourself. I'm saying stop lying to yourself about the information you already have. Clarity may tell you to leave. Clarity may tell you to prepare. Clarity may tell you to have the conversation that you've been avoiding. But whatever it tells you, respect it enough to listen. Because the longer you override yourself, the harder it becomes to hear yourself. And I don't want you to wake up years from now realizing you built the life that everybody else understands, but not you. You deserve more than survival with a nice image on it. You deserve a life where your peace is not always the price of admission. So trust yourself again, slowly, honestly, with discernment, because that quiet part of you that keeps whispering the truth is not trying to ruin your life. It is trying to bring you back to it. But hey, that's just my opinion. What's yours? Like, comment, subscribe. Establish Rich. I'll be back with another one. Peace.